This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
If we do a carbon-based a mechanism without the United States, how does that impact Canada? They are our largest trading partner. We trade more with the United States than we do with the rest of the world combined, for example. I mean, when we talk about steel, 50% of our steel is exported to the United States, 0.1% is exported to the EU. So how is it that we can maintain that competitive advantage? First to you, Mr. Campbell.
Thank you for the question. So I think there's competitiveness in our market and competitiveness in the U.S. market for us to think about in terms of our producers. So a BCA helps you to preserve the competitiveness of your domestic firms in your domestic market. So one of the sources of competition in our market that are not paying for carbon right now are most of the U.S. So if you put a BCA in place, that would charge them and level the playing field up to the chosen level of Canadian carbon. In the U.S. market, I think the way we're managing that currently is through the degree of allowances we choose in our system, and that is something you can continue to choose as you go forward. Those are essentially climate policy choices in the first instance, and the role the BCA plays is leveling the playing field. I think that where your question is going is there may be consequences if we were to do that. And I think that's, in the current uncertain environment, a very fair question and issue to consider. I'll try to be brief, but I think the world we're in that you've described is basically you can cave to intimidation, you can negotiate, or you can retaliate. In the first administration, we saw examples of both. In my view, working on a BCA does create an additional element for Canada to think about using in a negotiation process with the U.S. as you go forward.
Well, I mean, Madam Chair, how much time would I have left?
About 48.
Well, again, it goes back to that regulatory harmony, the notion of providing certainty, for example. Even if we were able to work on certain issues with the United States, for example, on a BCA, we still have the implementation of a carbon tax, for example, that they don't have in the United States. And so that was something that we had on Monday. We had Catherine Cobden of the Canadian steel producers, and she said this, quote, "Before we had a carbon price, the steel industry was suffering in our competitive position when we had to compete with unfair traders, people that were dumping into our market. Now we have the added problem of trying to compete with fair traders like the Americans, who are very prevalent. They represent 40% of our import share, and we're competing with them, and they do not have a carbon price. At $80 a ton of CO2 emissions that we are now facing, that makes a significant difference. The issue is that the carbon price will continue to rise year over year. It's gone up in 2023, 2024, and it's going to go up again in April. How is it that we can maintain those jobs in our competitive position, as Mr. Youngblood indicated earlier? I mean, we want to continue to have jobs in the Hamilton steel sector.
I don't want to hog all the answering, but my brief answer would be the BCA would charge the carbon that offsets the advantage that those U.S. producers have selling into Canada.
But what is the reaction going to be?
Agreed. That's the broader question, and I think that's
so would
a
it
Canada
not be better
governmental
So would it not be better
strategy.
then to work in lockstep to have something in harmony with our largest trading partner rather than doing something that would stand out?
So if you're looking at it in terms of negotiation, because Trump will not accept us being in lockstep, the way that he bargains is if you say yes, he asks for more, right? So this is, as Mr. Campbell indicated, this is actually a bargaining chip that we can use, a tool that we can use in those negotiations.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.